Greetings, I'm Charles, I'm 55 years old, I'm 6'1" and 230 pounds when I'm fully assembled, and what I'm going to talk today about is amp boards or stump boards. This is something I ran across when I initially had an amputation. Within several hours after getting amputated, my below the knee amputation, I was introduced to a wheelchair with an amp board, which is amputee board. So this one on my wheelchair is a simple thing to operate. It comes on and off real easy, but of course I didn't have this wheelchair before I had my first amputation, and the one I had at the hospital was not so nifty. So the deal with the amputation boards and the importance of them is a couple of things. First off, like I said, this is going to be initially just right after an amputation. It's going to be wrapped up with all kinds of bandages and things of that nature, and it'll be used pretty regularly, probably pretty close till the time you get a prosthetic leg, if that's what you're going for. At least that's the way it worked for me. And the object of this is about three different things. One is to kind of keep this thing, this brand new raw wound, safe. I know it seems kind of silly because it's sticking right there in the front, but the chances of you bumping anything side to side, and that kind of a thing, are pretty slim. And most folks probably wouldn't have an issue with this, but this one is kind of adjustable. It's stretched out all the way it can go, and my leg still sticks out a little bit, but like I said, I'm 6'1", so people that aren't quite that tall or have different adjustments on their boards wouldn't have an issue with that. Actually, one of the first ones I had in the hospital was actually just a transfer board, which I didn't bring to show you, and all I did was, that's a tool that's used to transfer between the bed and a wheelchair, to help prevent somebody from falling and injuring themselves. But the transfer board, they just stuck it under my butt, and it stuck out, and that thing is stuck way out here. So the front was protected, everything was protected. So one of the things is to protect the stump, protect this brand spanking new injury that's been sewed up, has staples, whatnot. The other thing is to prevent swelling or edema in the newly amputated area. Obviously, if you're moving around in a wheelchair or any kind of chair, sitting on the edge of the bed, you naturally would be sitting where your leg's positioned like this. And what happens is you don't have a whole bunch of muscle down here. At least you don't have a bunch of muscle the way I used to, before the amputation. So there's no way to pump the fluids very efficiently from the amputated area, back up through the system up into my heart and all of that kind of stuff. So what this does, it keeps my leg elevated so that it's easier for those fluids to pump through the circulation and not settle in this stump, which will cause swelling and other problems. So one of the other main things that this does, and this is probably the most difficult because everything up to now kind of makes sense, but after a below the knee amputation, one of the things that happens is the muscles tend to tighten up in the hamstring area, and even this big bulky muscle that is still left in your leg that's not connected properly anymore, but it'll tend to bunch up, and what that does is it causes your leg to curl up, so it'll naturally just want to hang in this kind of a position no matter what position you are if you just let it go. So what this does, it helps stretch the hamstring, stretch these muscles out, and the mission, of course, well, at least for me, my mission was I wanted to be able to walk kind of somewhat normal sometime in the future, and that was going to require a prosthesis. A prosthesis would be useless if this leg wasn't very mobile. So I still had to be able to keep my flexibility, keep this stretched out, and have a fully functional knee with fully functional muscles all the way around it to to facilitate me being able to get the prosthesis or prosthetic leg and then eventually walk walk around. So these are important things involved. This amp board or stump board is kind of a real pain in the leg, but it is something that is worth taking seriously. And when the doctor said, need to do this, that's one of the things that I did. I didn't do it 100% of the time. I'll be quite frank with you, because it hurt. Basically hamstring is being stretched all the time. So, I'd give it a break a little bit, but I wouldn't let it go too long. I'd want to keep it where it was elevated, keep it so that I could meet my end goal. So this is just 3 of the important things having to deal with using this amp or stump board. And I'd suggest that you definitely take that into consideration when you're feeling like blowing this stump board off. So hopefully this information was useful to you, and good luck.